Intuition versus logic. Everyone has a sense of intuition, and it's not as magical as it might sound. Some brain scientists think our intuition comes from information we've taken in before, but haven't fully thought about. But this is hard to prove, because intuition happens without us noticing. For example, someone might slow down while driving on a road they know well, not seeing a new speed bump until after they've already reacted. They might call this intuition, but it could also be their brain noticing small changes they didn't consciously pick up. The relationship between intuition and logic might not be as clear-cut as we think, either. When we use our intuition, the thinking steps that lead us to a decision aren't clear. We seem to skip over some thinking steps and get to an answer quickly. Imagine a chess player who can look at a game and know the best move right away, even if they can't explain how they got there. This could mean that our intuition is a faster version of logical thinking. But it could also mean that the chess player has practiced so much, their thinking has become automatic. So, our intuition and logic might be more connected than we think, but until we know more, we can only guess. Intuition, no doubt, likely had evolutionary benefits, particularly when it came to making quick decisions. We can only imagine how this would have played out in prehistoric times, long before our modern reliance on logic and reasoned decision-making. For instance, consider a group of prehistoric hunters on a wild chase. Suddenly, the leader diverges from the familiar trail, feeling a powerful urge to take a different path. There isn't time to contemplate or logically deduce, the decision is purely intuitive. The group follows, and soon they find their quarry cornered in a dead-end ravine. The intuition of the leader, drawing from accumulated experiences of past hunts, had guided them to a successful conclusion. Another example could be a prehistoric mother who gets a strong hunch to move her child from a particular spot, even though there seems to be no immediate danger. Soon after, a large branch falls exactly where the child was previously sitting. In this instance, it could be that her intuition, perhaps drawing from the sound of creaking branches or subtle changes in wind patterns, saved her child's life. These scenarios suggest that intuition might have been a survival tool that enabled our ancestors to respond quickly to their unpredictable and dangerous environment. Our subconscious mind possesses an expansive repository of brain resources, which remain largely hidden from our conscious awareness. It's this subtle, under-the-radar activity that frequently guides us towards making apt choices in our everyday lives, and helps steer our actions in the right direction. Think about times when you're stuck in a complex problem, perhaps a tricky work project or a challenging puzzle. You may find that after an intense period of focus, stepping away from the problem, engaging in a completely unrelated activity or even sleeping on it, often leads to a sudden eureka moment. This phenomenon can be attributed to your subconscious mind continuing to work on the problem while your conscious mind is at rest. It sorts through potential solutions, guided by your past experiences and knowledge, even when you're not consciously thinking about it. This subconscious process can often help us find our way out of tough spots more efficiently than if we were relying solely on our conscious, logical thought processes. Indeed, we cannot solely rely on intuition. We often have a selective memory, cherishing the moments when our gut feelings guide us right and brushing aside instances when they lead us astray. Consider the business world, where high-stake decisions are often a blend of hunches and data. A CEO may act on a sudden gut feeling to invest in a promising startup. If it succeeds, the story of the intuitive genius gets told and retold. Yet, for every success story, there are countless untold stories of failures where intuition did not hit the mark. Intuition, while it can provide initial direction, merely gives rise to preliminary hypotheses that need testing and verification. It leans heavily on emotions, and its predictions can often be subjective. To elaborate, let's turn to the realm of personal relationships. Sometimes, people may feel an instinctive click or connection with someone upon first meeting. This intuitive feeling might suggest a potential great friend or partner. However, without putting time into understanding the person, establishing communication, and observing their actions, one might fall prey to a facade. Therefore, intuition must be checked with reasoning to ensure its validity. Intuition, perhaps, operates in a realm that exists beyond logic. This assertion might seem counterintuitive, but if we delve deeper into the inner workings of our mind, it becomes increasingly evident. Throughout our lives, our brains are constantly observing patterns, connecting facts, and creating mental models based on these observations. More often than not, this process occurs unintentionally and subconsciously. Let's consider the simple example of a seasoned chef. While preparing a dish, they might throw in a dash of a particular spice without conscious deliberation. This intuitive decision is not grounded in logic but rather in the wealth of patterns and experiences they have accumulated over years of cooking. However, these subconscious processes do not diminish the importance of intuition. Instead, they reveal its complexity. The intuition doesn't rely on straightforward, logical processes. It draws upon a rich reservoir of learned patterns, experiences, and subconscious connections that our conscious mind might not readily access. For instance, an experienced detective might have a gut feeling about a suspect. While they might not be able to logically explain this feeling initially, it arises from the underlying patterns and cues they've subconsciously absorbed from similar past experiences. Hence, intuition might seem to be beyond logic, but it is rooted in a deep-seated, complex understanding of our experiences. The question of whether intuition is linked to something beyond the individual, possibly a universal consciousness dictating ready-made solutions, adds a profound layer to our discourse. This conjecture ventures into the realm of metaphysics, where reason and evidence often grapple with ideas that are intuitive yet elusive. Many spiritual traditions and philosophies posit that intuition is a form of higher guidance, suggesting a connection between the individual and the universe at large. They advocate that intuition is a conduit through which the universe imparts wisdom, revealing choices that are aligned with our deeper purpose. For instance, an artist might feel an inexplicable urge to create a particular piece of work. This intuitive pull could be seen as a whisper from the universe, nudging the artist towards their unique contribution to the world. Yet, this perspective is subjective and relies heavily on personal beliefs. While it provides a romanticized view of intuition, it's important to note that it cannot be empirically substantiated. Currently, science does not support the idea of intuition as a universal conduit. It instead attributes intuition to the complex processing of our subconscious mind, as earlier discussed. Therefore, while the notion of a connection between intuition and the universe is fascinating, it rests more in the realm of personal belief and spirituality than empirical evidence and logic. It is plausible that intuition may be more pronounced in those who do not possess strong self-analytical skills or struggle to understand the origins of their feelings and thoughts. This proposition provides a fascinating perspective on the interface between intuition and self-awareness. Those who find it challenging to introspect or analyze their emotions and thoughts might rely more heavily on their intuitive sense. This reliance could be a coping mechanism, where the brain provides an instinctual direction in the absence of conscious deliberation. For instance, someone may find it difficult to logically decide between two job offers, each with its own set of pros and cons. However, their intuitive sense might lead them to favor one job over the other, even if they can't fully explain why. However, this does not imply that intuition is a fallback option for the analytically challenged. Instead, it might suggest that those who heavily rely on their intuition could benefit from developing their self-analytical skills. By doing so, they could achieve a more balanced decision-making process. They would be able to consciously assess their intuitive hunches, determine whether they align with their long-term goals and values, and make informed choices that effectively synthesize both intuition and logic. Combining intuitive and logical decision-making creates a synergistic approach that can lead to more balanced and effective outcomes. This blend involves cultivating a dynamic interplay between the two, rather than favoring one over the other. Begin by honoring your initial intuitive hunch. This gut feeling, often appearing as a spontaneous reaction to a situation, carries the weight of your accumulated experiences and subconscious pattern recognition. Allow this intuition to influence your direction, but do not stop there. Once you have this intuitive hypothesis, apply logical analysis to it. Examine the facts, assess the pros and cons, and weigh the potential consequences of your decision. This stage involves conscious reasoning, where you apply your analytical skills to deliberate the choices in front of you. By leveraging both intuition and logic, you tap into the full spectrum of your cognitive abilities. Your intuition gives you an initial direction based on patterns and experiences that your conscious mind might overlook. Simultaneously, your logic ensures that the decision aligns with the factual context and your long-term goals. In this way, you can create a balanced and effective decision-making process that draws upon the best of both worlds. Intuitionistic logic is grounded in the belief that to assert a statement's truth, we must have a constructive proof of its validity. This is a departure from classical logic, where a statement can be considered true if we cannot prove it false. Here, the absence of a disproof is not treated as proof. For instance, in classical logic, the assertion there is life on other planets could be considered true until proven otherwise. In contrast, intuitionistic logic would demand constructive evidence of extraterrestrial life before accepting the statement as true. This branch of logic highlights the constructive approach of intuition, emphasizing the importance of verifiable proof over abstract reasoning. Intuitionistic logic encourages us to look beyond binary thinking and embrace a more nuanced understanding of truth. It reminds us that our perceptions of truth can evolve with the acquisition of new, constructive evidence. Therefore, The concept of intuitionistic logic underlines the potential for a fruitful coexistence between intuition and logic, suggesting that each can inform and enrich the other. The role of intuition in resolving the foundations of mathematics crisis is a fascinating study of the interplay between intuition and logic. The crisis, centered around paradoxes and inconsistencies in the set theory at the start of the 20th century, sparked a deep exploration of mathematical principles. Notably, the Dutch mathematician L.E.J. Brouwer introduced intuitionism, arguing that mathematics is a product of the mind and that mathematical entities are constructions, not discoveries. Brouwer contended that mathematical truth is not merely a matter of logical deductions but involves intuition and the mental construction of mathematical concepts. The role of intuition extends beyond mathematics and permeates the broader scientific arena. Let's take the example of the discovery of the structure of the DNA molecule. Scientists James Watson and Francis Crick didn't find the double helix structure through systematic testing alone. Instead, they relied on their intuition to piece together existing experimental data, which led them to propose the correct structure. While their hypothesis was later confirmed by empirical evidence, it was initially the product of intuitive understanding and visualization. These examples underline the crucial role of intuition in both mathematics and broader scientific discovery. In each case, intuition provided the spark of insight that guided logical analysis and empirical testing. While logic and rigorous methodology are vital in validating intuitive hunches, the genesis of many groundbreaking ideas often lies in the realm of intuition. Looking towards the future, we find the prospect of developing our intuitive abilities both intriguing and full of potential. Indeed, intuition can be cultivated. Various methods such as meditation, mindfulness, and reflective practices can help individuals tap into their intuitive senses more effectively. These techniques allow for increased self-awareness and an enhanced ability to listen to one's inner guidance. By fostering an understanding of our subconscious patterns and responses, we can harness our intuition to navigate complex situations and make more informed decisions. The notion of artificial intelligence, AI, possessing intuition takes us into a new frontier of technological advancement. Traditional AI operates on explicit programming and algorithms, thus largely residing in the realm of logic. However, with advances in machine learning and neural networks, AI systems can now identify patterns and learn from experience, mimicking the intuitive processes of the human mind. Yet, it's crucial to differentiate between pattern recognition and genuine intuition. While AI can mimic some aspects of intuition, it lacks the depth of human experience and emotion that underpins true intuitive understanding. Therefore, while we may see AI that appears intuitive, it is, for now, an echo of human intuition, reliant on the patterns it has been trained to recognize. The prospect of AI achieving the richness and complexity of human intuition remains an open question for the future. The exploration of logic and intuition reveals a dynamic interplay between these two cognitive processes. Logic, with its structured reasoning and empirical validation, provides a reliable, objective pathway to knowledge. It allows us to break down complex problems, assess evidence, and arrive at conclusions that stand up to rigorous scrutiny. On the other hand, intuition provides a different kind of knowing. It taps into subconscious pattern recognition, offering insights that may not surface through conscious thought. Intuition operates beyond the realm of linear reasoning, often presenting solutions and ideas that seem to appear out of the blue. It allows us to make connections that might not be immediately obvious, enabling creative problem solving and innovative thinking. Both logic and intuition hold their unique strengths and limitations. They can complement each other to create a more holistic approach to understanding and decision-making. Logic can validate and refine the insights offered by intuition, while intuition can spark creative ideas and solutions that logic alone might not uncover. In the end, the goal is not to choose between intuition and logic, but to understand how they can work together to enhance our thinking and enrich our perspective on the world. The true wisdom lies in knowing when to apply logic, when to trust our intuition, and how to use them in harmony to navigate the complexities of life.